of 2008, we had wind shear come through and it leveled everything. It was like a tornado, and it just leveled everything. So we were able to replant in about 2010. So we were kind of struggling there financially. We couldn't replant right away, and we replanted in a different place on that property to protect it more from the wind. And since then we've had spectacular crops. So last year was a massive crop. This year's a lighter crop because I let last year's crop be too heavy. I shouldn't have done that. So next year's going to be a heavy crop. I'm going to have to thin it a lot more.
So when you say you let it be too heavy, you go out and pick some.
Yeah, that's right. In 2012, we had a hard freeze, and I mean the worst freeze we've had in 60, 70 years in the United States. So the Midwest and the East Coast, they were almost wiped out of fruit. I mean, they lost 90% of their apples. I mean, I don't know if anybody remembers, but the price of, I didn't even sell cider because I couldn't buy cider apples. I mean, there just wasn't anything out there. I'd be charging $20 for a gallon of cider, and nobody's going to pay that. So I didn't even. So I sold it for $7, and we lost money, a lot of money on it. But you gotta supply it. So when the trees are devoid of fruit, 2013 they try to overproduce because they've built up all these carbohydrates and energy stores over that whole year, and when that happens, they try to way overproduce, so you got to thin really hard. And so 2014, we had very light crop, and then last year, 2015, it did it again. It was really heavy, and we thinned more. And then this year, it's a lighter crop, but we're getting it more evened out now. But it takes time to smooth that, to make that average. Because we want average. We don't want huge light. So, and if you're, and every orchardist is dealing with this same issue. You know, they're all struggling to get it evened out. You know. So.
What kind of weather is like for an apple?
Well, no rain. Corn and bean farmers, they need rain. We want no rain because we have irrigation. So with rain comes insects and bacteria. So that means you have to battle. You have to battle things. So a lot of rain this year, a lot of heat. The biggest thing I battled this year was the weeds and the grass. That was, we didn't keep up. Not that I couldn't, we just didn't keep up. So, but you know, you have more inputs when you're dealing with that. And in the years that we have somewhat of a drought, which was the last couple of years before this year, it was gorgeous. You know, we were almost organic growers. I mean, we didn't have to put any inputs in at all, just about. So it was kind of neat. So we like those dry years, and we don't like the really extremely hot days in August. Like if it gets above 96 degrees, sometimes that can cause a sunburn on an apple like Honeycrisp. It doesn't affect any other apple because Honeycrisp has such a thin skin, but on Honeycrisp, you don't want to see those hot, sunny days. So
when you say irrigation, we use like a canal or dike?
No, we use just drip tape, where you have a main line that's like a 4-inch main line, but then you have these little tiny hoses running off of the main line that go down the row, and they basically leak. They leak water at a certain spot, and it wets the whole row. So that's kind of what it is. You've seen those like soaker hoses? It's something like that, but there's only one little trickle every 3 feet or every 2 feet, and then over 5 hours, that whole area gets saturated. So it's a very slow, very efficient way of watering the trees because you don't lose all the evaporation. So
you said this was your dad's. So
Yep.
Did you just come into it? Like, did you have a degree before it?
I'm the youngest, so growing up, I wanted to be as far away from the orchard as I could be. I was that typical spoiled, youngest of the 5 kids, so I was going into aerospace engineering at Iowa State and realized I couldn't hack it for that, so I got into hotel restaurant management. And about that time, when I graduated, my sister was moving to another she was running it with my dad at the time, and then she was moving to a college, Illinois. So my dad was like, just help me for once, because I graduated at an odd time in August at Iowa State. So he said, just help me out for this little apple season, and never had a real good relationship with my dad. So we worked together, and I don't know, it was magic. Something clicked. Yeah. Something was great, and got along with my dad again, and everything worked, and I was hooked. I never stopped. So it was a fun time doing that with my dad.
The wall that you were talking about, is there a reason why you do them like 3 feet apart?
Yeah, the trees, you keep them so they don't grow too big, so they don't interfere with the other trees, even though I'm still learning about that. And I grow amazing fruit out there, but the real professionals would tell you my trees are still a little too big. So I'm still, this is all new technology for the United States. It was real big in Europe before it came here. But there's so many stubborn old apple growers out there that won't go to it. But I would never go back. I can't grow that fruit on this style of tree. No way. That's the only way to grow the apples now. I'm 100% convinced. So there are certain sizes of trees. There's a dwarf, semi-dwarf, and standard. And it's all determined by the root system. And so the root system is separate from the variety. So you choose a root system that determines the size of the tree, and then you stick the variety in the root system, and there you have your tree. So that's why we try to not grow branches, because we only want the branches to be 1.5 feet long. Well, mine are 4 feet long, So, but it's just a concept. So you're trying to grow small trees really close together for a very, very efficient fruiting, and the rows are really narrow. So I don't have a normal tractor. My tractor is only this wide. It's only 4 feet wide. So everything has to be narrow to go down the rows, which makes it ideal for pick your own, because the fruit is hanging right here for the little kids, So it's the only way to go about it. And I hope you're not going to go out and start an orchard on me.
No.
Now I'm giving you all the secrets.
No.
The pink ribbon.
Oh, you had pink ribbon out. No, this is strictly for my class, trust me.
Okay.
You had pink ribbon out on some of your trees.
Yep.
All right, is that
This is an ancient tree started by Stark Brothers. It's called Lura Red. Nobody has the tree anymore, and I'm going to cut these down, and I want more of that apple. So I had to, without a very good map here, because like I said, when my dad planted it, it's kind of randomly planted. I had to mark when the apples, because you look at an apple tree, you can't tell what variety it is if there's no apple on it. So I know where most of them are, but I needed to mark every Lura Red tree so I could find the best fruiting wood to do the budding for the new trees that I've got ordered to put. I'm going to replant this place. So I had to mark those trees because we picked the fruit, and then I was going to cut the fruiting wood about 2 weeks later, which is what I did. So I needed to know which trees were which, and I knew where most of them were, but when we get into that corner, there's more trees marked, and they're kind of intermingled with Chieftain actually, and the apples at that age, Chieftain and Lura, they almost look exactly the same. So it really took a lot of identification to know which tree is which. Now you could tell them easily apart, but back then when I put the ribbon out, I had to really know which one, because once we picked the Lura Reds, then, so I needed to mark those, and so that I didn't get some strange tree ordered that I didn't expect was a Lura Red. So that was why they were marked. Yeah.
Why can't you grow an apple from the seeds?
It's completely random. It's the apple that you throw the seed, you sow a seed in the ground, you will not get that apple. Yeah, there's so much genetic information in those seeds that it's just completely random, 100% random. So There are literally 3,000 or 4,000 established varieties. But there are millions that they've said, yeah, that variety's not. I mean, these colleges are all testing. They just that's not producing a good apple. That's so there are only 3,000 or 4,000 that are actually named. There are millions that are not named, that are just a number, and then they throw that tree away. It doesn't grow well, so. Honeycrisp, actually everybody thinks it's such a new apple. It's been around 35 years, I think. I can't remember the exact dating on it, but it was the University of Minnesota that found it. Well, they found it a long time ago, but there's so many problems with growing the tree and storing the fruit that they didn't really bring it out into the forefront until 15, 20 years ago. So, yeah.
So we were kind of peeking in on some of the conversation with some of the parents for this little group. And so you're able to store these apples until March, April.
Yep.
When I put them in my fridge,
Yeah.
it's not that
Well,
nice.
that sometimes till June too. So in the winter, I just shut my coolers off because it's cold enough. I actually put a heater in my cooler to keep it from freezing in there when it's really, really cold. So I have the advantage that I have thousands of bushels. So I'm grading out apples too, but I'm putting the good ones out for sale. So if you have one little peck of apples, yeah, you might lose some apples, and then you wonder, well, how is it possible? Well, you come out and you buy small bags from me, and you're always going to get good apples. So that's kind of our rationale. But your refrigerator is basically a giant dehumidifier, and it sucks the juice out of the skin. So if they're not, perfect, we say plastic bag, sprinkle of water, refrigerate them, but that's not perfect because it's taking the moisture out of the water that you put in the bag, and it's never a constant. And so apples will last and stay crunchy a long time, but they won't last like I can keep them. You know what I mean? And I also have the advantage of numbers where I can throw the bad ones out and put only good ones out for sale. So people are like, how did you get those so nice? Well, you didn't see the other 4 or 5 that I threw away, So it is what it is. It's a process of elimination. So, we harvest from 20,000 trees, so I've got a cooler full of apples all the time. So we just grade them out all winter long.
And when you say winter, are you open all year round?
I'm open every day, but Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Afternoon.
Thanksgiving afternoon. I'm actually open Thanksgiving morning. Yeah, so that might change though. I may change that. I can't do this forever. I was actually talking to Anastasia about closing in February and March. January, February, March. Just because we need a break. We need a mental break. But anyway.
When you're finished, I need you to come look at
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, sure.
That's
Yeah.